So, Joe, I'm curious on this one because when you look at some of these, one of the biggest things that I think affects some of the ways we do it and the challenges we face when we try and do things differently is we've got companies filled with people who associate learning with what they remember back in school. Right. I went to school and my teacher told me and everybody the same thing. And I took a test and then I moved on. And that is what they associate it with. And when I've been in conversations where I've presented these new ways and the response has literally been, well, that just doesn't look like training. And you're like, well, exactly. Like that's what we're trying to get at. So how do you see clients navigating that? Because that is something that senior L&D leaders, HR leaders, there's some real barriers that you have to overcome in getting people to see what's different. And how do you do that well?
Yeah, I'm super pleased to see a transformation happen in the last 4 years from, to your point of, yeah, we just don't do it that way, or that's not, traditionally we just don't, to organizations saying much more frequently, we are putting the onus on the learner to make sure they're staying current, or that's a big part of their culture. Not that there's not required training, but that then drives people towards thinking about something like adaptive learning. And it just makes those initial conversations much, much easier because organizations that have been forward thinking are just more receptive to the conversation and really digging into the details as to how they would make something like that happen.
Okay. So you're seeing a trend over the past few years that more and more organizations are starting to think differently about this, and some of the legacy kind of this is how it is starting to break.
Yeah, I think it's happening in two ways. One is organizations starting to think that way. And in the case of the Shinolas of the world and many of the others that we work with, saying, okay, now we're doing it. What's the limit? What are the unique things we can really do? What are the hard problems that we really need to solve, right? Because you can come in here and put, IT security, code of conduct, sexual harassment, and all those courses that people tend to complain about and put them in the platform and you'll do great. But when you really have to solve an intricate safety issue or a compliance or something regulatory or sales in nature, that's where you really see the platform shine. And organizations that think in that respect are doing some really amazing things.